Hi, Darren from Primal Gym, back again with part 4 of how to prevent shoulder injuries and how to fix the shoulders up if you do have shoulder injuries. We're going to discuss the last 3 points today, 8, 9 and 10. Number 8, very simple, do not go below 90 degrees in your elbow angle. Don't let the elbows go past midway in the body line whenever you're doing dips or bench pressing or anything that involves this kind of position. Okay, so if you've got shoulder issues and the elbows come right back here, it basically forces the head of the humerus, the head of the arm, into that anterior capsule in the shoulder, and that's going to cause a lot of problems, especially if you've already got inflammation in there. Likewise, if you're doing dips, which in my opinion are not a great exercise, purely because as we dip right down, again, if you've got a dodgy shoulder already and you bring yourself into this position just standing up, you'll probably be able to feel that that already is pushing into that socket. So anything that you're doing that involves pressing or dipping the elbows behind the body, don't go below further than 90 degrees. A simple way to monitor that is just don't let the arms go past midline in the body. So floor presses are ideal because we can't go lower than 90 degrees or in line with the body. And when you're doing dips, again, I wouldn't recommend using dips, but if you do, just don't let the elbows go past this position. Okay, so that's point 8. Okay, so that brings us to part 9. It's one of my favorite ones. The glutes. Okay, so your right shoulder is attached to the left glute effectively, functionally, through the thoracolumbar fascia, which is a fascial lining around here, into the opposite lat muscle, which then goes right up here. The lat inserts onto the inside here of the head of humerus, and therefore your left glute is functionally attached to your right shoulder. Your right glute is functionally attached to your left shoulder. Very often when I'm assessing people, if somebody has a dodgy right shoulder, especially if it's a little bit bent forwards like this, the left glute also isn't working very well. Now, whether the shoulder caused the glute not to fire properly or the glute not firing has destabilized the shoulder, it isn't really that important which way around that goes. What is important is if you have any shoulder issues, if the shoulders are slightly rounded or we're getting any impingement or soreness, you want to get your glutes checked and make sure that they're firing properly. And if they're not, we need to start strengthening those glutes up. In my experience, most of the time working with people that have shoulder injuries, getting the glutes working well and getting the core functioning well are 2 vital elements of fixing the shoulders. Okay, so that brings us nicely to point 10, the final point in the fixing your shoulders, preventing shoulder injury. Very simple one. Don't stretch the shoulders. It's kind of commonplace that if you have if you've got a dodgy knee, a good fix for dodgy knee is simply stretching the quads. If you've got tight lower back, stretching the lower back out. If your buns are killing you, stretch out the glutes. Those things make sense. However, because of the nature of what actually causes most shoulder injuries internally in that anterior capsule of the shoulder, with that head of humerus, the head of the arm kind of just rocking around in there causing issues, stretching the shoulder out is actually a big mistake. We don't want to be stretching that capsule around. We want it to be fitting nice and tight, like a baseball glove around a baseball. Okay, so if you do have shoulder issues, if you find you're getting nipping, impingements and grating, don't stretch the shoulders. We need to stabilize that capsule first, then improve the mobility of the shoulder, and then start strengthening off the back of that. Okay, so that's the 10 tips on fixing the shoulder. Primarily look at posture, particularly the shape of your upper spine. Look at core function, how far forward is the head, make sure the glutes are working, make sure that you're not wearing straps, make sure that you're not stretching the muscle. Make sure that when you're pulling and rowing, that we're moving those 2 elements, the shoulder blades and the elbows, at the same time, not as separates. Put all of that together, and yeah, you should find, if you've already got shoulder issues, that this certainly helps to improve it. And if you haven't got shoulder injuries, sticking to these 10 tips will certainly prevent you from being prone to shoulder injuries. Hope that's helped. If you've got any questions at all, just stick them down below, and we'll do our best to get back to you and answer. Okay, see you next time.